everyone, we are back today. I have P right next to me because I was struggling through this so terribly.
Hello.
Right off the bat, welcome back to anybody that has been here before. And if you haven't and you're new, please hit that subscribe button below. Ring that bell. We are planning on doing videos at least once a week. So there will be something new and interesting, and we're always doing something a little bit different, but it always has something to do with mixed media.
Absolutely.
So today, one of the things that we have been really wanting to know and understand is Mod Podge versus gel medium. Because we're big Mod Podge users, and we're like, well, this is to us, and what we knew at that point in time was that it's kind of the same stuff. And
that was my understanding,
yes.
Also.
And in a lot of aspects, it is, because they are all acrylic-based mediums. And depending on what you want to use it for, there are options for all things. So we wanted to really know, are we using the best thing for what we use Mod Podge for, which is typically just to seal things. If we're gonna glue something down, we use art glitter glue.
Or the PVA.
Or the PVA. P has been...
But I will say the PVA, I don't like squeezing it because I have to use two hands. I don't know. I mean, it's like you get your morning workout. Your gripper morning workout. But what I have done is I used up a whole bottle, and then I just kept that bottle, put a little water in it because I was ostensibly going to wash it out and just use it as a...
And now it has a label on it, and I'm looking at it. It says H2O and glue.
It does, but what I discovered inadvertently in this whole process is that if you water that stuff down a little bit, I'm not talking a whole lot, but just enough so that you don't have to get carpal tunnel getting it out of the bottle, and it still glues just fine.
Here, this is the...
Absolutely glues just fine if you water it down a bit.
Yeah, these are the two glues that we have been using. This is the stuff that she was just talking about, mixing with water. And
yeah, would definitely come in.
And also nip that tip a little extra.
Well, yeah, don't do that if you're going to mix your water with it, because it'll be squirting out all over the place.
Keep your tip on one.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not really here to talk about adhesives, other than I will tell you on my chart here what I did do, because I wanted to see, again, test some things out and just show how well the art glitter glue does glue down. All of these swatches on this side up to the acrylic whites were glued down using the art glitter glue. You can even just see how much flatter and just how much less bubbling you will get.
And rippling.
And rippling. Yeah, there we go. That's really the better term. Rippling. That this side is compared to this one. Hopefully that shows up.
This side is glued down with whatever it
Yeah, so we're going to get to
says.
that. I guess let's just jump right into that.
Okay.
Since we're talking adhesives. What I did on the first row here of the colored pencils is I had actually gone over the top of each swatch with the particular medium.
Yeah. So, yeah, point to that up there.
Yeah, so you have, starting out even with the gesso, the acrylic whites. Obviously these are very similar. We'll get into that here in a minute. Glossy and matte of the gel medium, and I'm calling the Mod Podge fluid because it is very watery, and that is kind of one of the one of their
paste.
Yes, there's regular even.
Okay, and they call it heavy, light.
There's different.
Yeah.
And different brands.
I would say this was definitely in the middle, because it's not.
It's fluid though. That's why I'm calling it fluid.
Yeah, it does. It settles out.
It's not gel, even though you will see that I've purchased two of the gels here. Now, there was no rhyme or reason other than it seemed about the right price point, because I didn't actually go with any of what the art grade mediums, technically.
Yes, you did. The golden is
Well, that's
considered
Gesso.
art. Oh.
I'm talking about on just the
Oh,
gel medium versus Mod Podge.
Yeah, they're the higher priced in this may be better.
I
We
just
don't know.
wasn't ready to commit to that,
And
basically.
Knowing what we know now, we don't really find a great need to do so.
No, because we're very happy with how our Mod Podge has performed and is everything that we want it to be. So there really is, and so those of you that really are trying to keep within a certain price point, Mod Podge is awesome. And unless we start doing some more of these comparisons, and the only thing would be, because there's, you know, constant talk of how sticky it is even after it has dried, which I think is going to be the case of any of these acrylic based mediums.
Takes a while to dry.
Yeah, I mean, they're plasticky, they're gonna be that way. So the answer to that are a couple of things. I keep reading and hearing from a lot of people that either candle wax, or even I saw somebody post about the what is it, cold wax that they use.
Oh, yeah. Well, I hadn't thought about that, but yeah.
Yeah, somebody posted about that. The number one thing that we use, and they're basically two brands, but technically they are one and the same, because this is Distress Glaze from Tim Holtz. But if you look on the back, it says Original Skycraft Recipe, which is Judi-Kins or something like that. Sorry, I'll maybe list that below. I don't know. I'm not making any money off of it, so it doesn't matter to me one way or the other.
Yeah, look it up.
Yeah. The Distress Glaze was cheaper that I found
Than the other stuff.
than the other stuff, than the original. But they package, so it's white labeled. Same stuff.
And it does work.
So you just lightly put it over anything that you have sealed or glued down with the Mod Podge or any of these acrylic.
Yeah, and I would also wait 24 hours, make sure that it is dry, because it is an oil-based medium, and if it's not dry, it will smear.
This is
The glaze part.
the glaze part is the oil base.
But if it's completely dry, and you know it's,
or at least that's our suspicion.
yeah, we just keep this little hooty-doo thing in there
Looks
and then
kinda gross.
buff it out with that. You know, it's not rocket science, and all you need is a teeny tiny little bit.
It's just, and that's why they even say, like, the people that are using the candle and the cold wax, you put a very thin layer, wipe it down, buff it, and if you want to kind of continue and put multiple layers, and I think depending on how much you buff it, the shinier it will get. So keep that in mind if you're going with like a matte finish. You start putting that stuff on there and buffing it and making it shiny, you might as well have just done the.
Well, and we would like to hear from anyone out there that has had experience using anything else that they found.
Yeah.
And, you know, send us some pictures.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you in advance.
Thank you in advance. Okay, so to kind of get back to what the chart is and all the different things, and I'm going to run through at the very end of this video, I will do a speed through process of me laying down all of the actual medium onto the swatches and then using the medium to then glue them down. So you can see that process. But we wanted to talk through everything first, because that's really what this was all about, is the comparison and the things that we have noticed and some of the things that really, really surprised us. And that this is geared towards our mixed media projects, and hopefully this will help you in yours, especially if you're collaging. And then one of the main things that we wanted to find out about is how are these different things going to react to our printed papers?
Because we do printed papers.
We do. We use a lot of them now. We create our own, and then we use other people's as well. So I wanted to make sure that there was a comparison of how it was going to react.
You should tell them what kind of printer you have.
Yes. Number one, this paper is a presentation, so it's kind of got a smooth, nice finish to it.
It's not terribly thick.
No. And this is a Canon Pro 100 because it prints it's a larger format to print these bigger sheets.
Okay.
I didn't like color calibrate this particular image that I used inside of the squares. I wasn't worried about this wasn't being spot on.
Come on, you can see it.
Yes, but that is not actually like just straight up cyan out of the tank. There, it's mixing something. Anyway, that's, you know, another technical thing.
Yeah, it kind of matches that blue a little bit.
Right. But the main thing that we wanted to just see is how it was going to react to the different color mixtures and such. So it was perfect for what we were doing. And you can see, so this whole line is the before, so nothing was put on this. This is just straight up it on the paper. I see I got something globby on that though. Something watery.
Oh, that's what I usually do. I didn't have any part in this. Oh, actually I did. I did the little samples of the
swatches.
The swatches. Mariah did the colored pencils. I did the others.
Yes. So you will see, and one of the reasons that we wanted to add gesso into the mix of things is simply not as obviously, I don't know that many people are using it as an adhesive of any sort, but it is used to prime or to in between medias.
Well, and I recommend to people, I say, you know, when I discovered gesso, it was like a life-altering experience because you don't have to worry about messing up. If you don't like it, you just gesso over it. Now, in this case, you
Really?
may have to go over it twice if you use the really cheap stuff.
Well, or depending on what you're gessoing over, and that's really what I wanted to show on this end of things, is how much is going to pull through.
Don't point to those. Those are not gesso.
Well,
Those are
I know.
gesso.
This is, sorry.
Cover
Gesso, acrylic whites, which you can also use basically as a gesso depending on what it is. Here's the
Yeah,
reason
it's a little pricier.
well, yes, especially if you want to go with the Stuart Simple Saint Potion, because this stuff is just the most awesome stuff in the whole wide world.
It smells like
It has
vanilla.
Yeah, it has vanilla smell to it.
Now, I'm just telling you, this stuff right here, this
Does not
smells
smell
like
like-
vomit. Hey, you know, we could sit here and talk all day long, but that describes the smell and that. I don't know if it's because of the age. I've had it for a long time, so
I'm leaning towards that.
yeah. Okay.
It's more of a, you know.
Y'all let me know if it smells better nowadays, so I'll know I can buy some more. Because that
Sorry,
other
Plaid.
stuff is real.
Sorry, Plaidcraft. I mean, if you want to start supporting us, we'll be probably nicer. We will still describe it, just maybe not as vomit. It also dries shiny. So you really wouldn't want to use it as a primer. These are actually gesso and would prime your paper or surface, canvas, whatever it is that you're using.
Well, that's, yeah. Originally it was for just canvas. People would prime the canvas so the paint doesn't
And nowadays you can buy them pre-primered.
Yeah. I don't think anybody gessos their own stuff anymore.
I'm sure
No, they
do.
probably do, but I don't
But
know.
we're thinking that, I mean, people use them all the time. We see the videos in the mixed media on the art journals and such. So we wanted to make sure that we included that because they are in this family of acrylic mediums. And you may be wanting to use these with different things. Obviously, because most everything down here is a water-based or activated by water, that's why you get this pull-through.
Yeah. And we did make sure that this dried overnight, so that wasn't a factor. This was not wet at all. It was completely dry when we applied whatever
Yes.
it was. And I mean, look at the difference there. That's a marked difference in
Yes.
coverage. But then you skip over here to, yeah,
Stuart-
hold that, yeah.
Oh,
And
we
but
are not affiliates.
their stuff is really, it is awesome stuff, and I
Yeah.
like it a lot.
We've shown everything that we need to show. You can see all the different things we've used. Color pencil. These are crayons. Let's see, the dark brown, because we use 2 different brands,
The dark brown
is
the-
Tim Holtz.
Yeah, and the other one is Vicky Bouton.
Yes.
And I don't know, people probably know the difference between those, but the Tim Holtz one, if you don't get after it right away, when you put down the color, it will stay. The Vicky Bouton, it's going to remain
Movable.
Ushy squishy for a long time. So just, you know, whatever. Sometimes I really like the fact that it stays that way because I can do different things with it. But for this particular purpose, you'll notice it really didn't do that much. There's not that much difference in any of it. As far as the mediums here, I mean, across the board, you can see they're almost exactly the same. And the colored pencils, I think, is probably pretty much, it's a more stable thing. Now, where you do notice a little difference, and this is one of the things, the
Dinah Wakely.
Dinah Wakely. Here, in her clear gesso medium, I tried to get the white, but where's our price chart? Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Because that was a big factor. By the time I got it shipped, I can't remember what. Mariah, did you write that down there anywhere on our price thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, by the time we got it shipped, look at the price per ounce.
$3.25. That's even more than the extremely expensive vanilla smelling wonderfulness.
That comes from Germany, for crying out loud.
Okay. You can see, so this is the yummy, yummy goodness. And so if you were really wanting to buy something, because this is not even a gesso, but
it is acrylic.
It is acrylic, and you could use it as a gesso or a primer.
I wouldn't, but I think, if, you know, again, we're back to that. If you've got some spots on your page that are really horrible and you don't like them, that obviously is your best choice for coverage.
Yeah.
And I see people saying that all the time, like, oh my gosh, you know, I love all this except for this one little spot. You know, you don't have to lose the whole thing.
Now, it didn't act as nicely with the watercolors. I mean, you can see a little pull through there.
Yeah. And these are opaque watercolors. Pelican brand, if that means anything. It's also German, I think. Maybe it's...
And then I was not happy with... Again, I guess you would be using the gesso, the clear gesso, to prep your surface. But...
Well, so that you could add another thing on. And yeah, and that kind of lets you know there.
There's a lot of bleed through. There's a lot of udgy, smudgy stuff happening that I personally, especially down here, this is where, and I don't know if you guys can see, but along the black line, how it started bleeding out there, and how much of a color difference what was happening there. So you would not want to use this with printables because you would be very unhappy. Same thing over here, that, you know, so if you thought that you were sealing your printables to, you know, be able to put some, like, that's really what you would want to do, is if you were using this in a mixed media situation, you would have, all right, okay, well, I did my collage with my printed papers. Then I'm going to put this over because I think that it's going to possibly seal it and prep the surface for my next thing. Well, then all of a sudden, all of your printables have been, you know, leached out.
Altered in some way.
In their color. That would be really terrible. Really what you want to do, if that's the case, if you want to hold that layer and keep the colors in place, you would want to use something
Mod
Podge. Like,
because even there is a teeny tiny little, if you know.
Really what happens with the glossy, this is what I love about it, especially since I don't typically, very rarely do I actually print on this nice presentation paper, because it does have the really crisp image. I actually use a Strathmore, kind of a heavier tooth.
25%.
Yeah, it has cotton in it. So your images get a little more smushy. But once you apply the Mod Podge on top of it, it actually kind of brings it back in.
Crisps it up.
Crisps it up. Your color pops. And I love that.
Yeah, and we're going to show you some metallics here in a moment. I don't know that they're dry or not. We just decided to do the metallic this morning.
Because I was like, oh, you know, one of my big gripes about when P kept Mod Podging my stuff, I was like, okay.
What happened to my shiny stuff?
Why is my shiny not shiny anymore?
I don't know.
So then she's like, well, maybe you should start trying to use the gloss. And that's when my life changed. And I started Mod Podging everything rather than just little bits and pieces.
Or the dimensional.
Oh, yeah, that's
Mod Podge keeps it keeps the metallics metallic.
Yeah.
And that stuff is I highly recommend it. It's rather pricey.
Because here's a good example. I think this actually has different types of Mod Podge even on the outer, because this is when I was like, oh my god, what happened?
Yeah, you can see right
this
there.
This is matte, and see, I totally lost my gloss, or my shiny gold. Then I came over it with the dimensional Mod Podge, which is a whole other, I think that's gonna be
Don't turn that, you'll upset your lamp.
Sorry, my stuff is kind of tacked down here, but it's probably closer to the Nuvo dots or the color crystal things.
Yeah, it doesn't
oh, here I have one thing in here that
does not really stand up as much as I would like it to. It smooshes out more, it levels out more than I think it should for what they talk about.
I think that's why we should try the Nuvo dot things, because I think they do actually hold their form. I was surprised about the matte, and even both of these. When I put these on, they were peaks and what are they?
Peaks and valleys.
Yeah, they had. I mean, I put it on there, and it really has very little texture left.
It leveled out.
It really leveled out way more than I thought it was going to.
Well, and I remember looking at this one, and I actually touched it. You may even see my fingerprint in there, because it was a big lump at the top. But you can see it has leveled out.
Yeah.
So unless you put some kind of other medium,
So then I think you need to start moving into the modeling pastes.
Yes.
And there are some heavy something or others.
Well, I read about them because in the process of doing this, I felt like it was sort of important that you knew.
Yeah, that we seem like we know what we're talking about. We sometimes do.
Sometimes. But I read about the different things, and I've also used in making my own modeling paste.
See, look how nice. This has been squished up, smashed into this box, and wrapped in the journal. And did you see how nicely? I know in a lot of my little videos, my quick videos that I do, you'll see me pull it.
She fiddles with stuff. Well, just hold it still.
Sorry, that too. But you'll see me trying to pull. Usually in those videos that you see, things have not been glazed yet, because I have just finished it and I'm now getting the video done. So
stuff gets stuck.
That's why in my videos they stick. Once they have been, sat around for 24 hours, then that's when we come back in, rub them down. And even after a little bit, it still takes some time for that stuff to...
Yeah.
I mean, this one's been weeks, and it is great. I mean, it opened up, nothing stuck. And that's Mod Podge with the Distress Glaze on it. happy, happy, joy, joy. Let's get back over now. I think we've talked about all of this. Again, at the end of the video, I will do the run through of all of this being laid down so you guys can see it. And if you want to just fast forward to that, that is perfectly fine. If you're enjoying this, please, again, subscribe below. Hit the bell. We're going to do more of these.
And we're also, this will be, you know, go to the bathroom, get yourself something to drink, come back, because we're going to do run through on what happens with alcohol ink markers, what happens with Posca, permanent markers, the black of this, which is really awesome. I highly recommend that.
It's the two
And we'll show you what happened on these.
And I'm going to finish out writing out the chart on this thing,
Okay,
too.
they're not quite dry.
All right, guys. So our samples, our additional kind of demos that we did are pretty dry. Some of them are still need, obviously, a good 24 hours or so, but this is...
After about 3.
3 hours? No, hasn't been that even. It's maybe been an hour and a half or so.
How time flies when you're having fun.
That's right. That's right. So you can kind of see, I guess I'll just lay these down in their little spots. Basically, it's golden. Very interesting to see again with the Dino Wakely clear gesso. I'm not sure. I mean, please comment below. Let us know what you use it for. If you use that like on a regular basis. We're just not really sure how we would incorporate that in our daily projects.
Well, especially when you consider the price difference.
Oh yeah.
Because, I mean, we'll yank that up in a minute and show you that.
Yeah. The biggest thing I wanted to look at here is how it reacted with the metallic watercolors, the Calero watercolors. Because you can see all across here, they're all very different and kind of do different things to it. My most favorite thing being, because it keeps it still very shiny, is the glossy Mod Podge. And then second in place is the matte, but you can definitely see
It mutes it down.
It does.
And you can use that to your advantage. If
Yeah.
the gloss is way too high, you know, you can use that. And if you want to really dull it down, use some of this gel medium stuff. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even tell it's metallic anymore.
yeah, just barely. Like, you can see there is where I didn't apply any, and then there's where it's drying up. You can still see it's working on drying, and it has some peaks at this point. But when I applied this, it was very heavy peaks.
Yeah, I can
But
see.
now it's starting
Yeah.
to flatten out, and I had done that even over here on my original tester, and that thing is practically, I mean, you can feel it, but you can barely see it.
It levels.
It does, it levels.
That can be good or bad.
Right, like, but don't go using this stuff thinking that you're going to get texture out of it.
No, that's not happening.
And that was kind of one of the things, is that, you know, people were saying that you can use like the gesso and some of these other mediums to create texture. Well, I would say that all of the ones that we have tested, I wouldn't necessarily.
No, and I think that this gets back into the whole thing where they're talking about light, heavy.
Yes.
It does make a difference. It obviously does make a difference. I would describe these as all light to medium.
Hey, and if you like this video, let us know below, and maybe we'll invest a little bit into doing a comparison on the heavy versus you know, regular versus whatever, modeling paste. Like, we can start bringing in, we can kind of move this section over here, then start bringing in some of the heavier gel, and then even the modeling paste. And then we'll refer you over to our video where you can make modeling paste out of pencil shavings. Because
Sawdust.
and whatnot. Because
Using what you have in your kitchen and probably what you already have in your craft supply.
yes, rather than purchasing some stuff that now we have to figure out what we're going to do with all this.
Yeah. Or I see people all the time showing you big jars of it that have solidified or, you know, semi-solidified into big chunks that look like cottage cheese.
Maybe we
And,
can do something with it then.
I would certainly try because I guarantee you this stuff is not cheap. The modeling paste is high dollar
Yeah.
stuff, very pricey. So I would just,
I think the next thing, and I saw this, I believe, on the crafty, or the frugal crafter lady. But she says if you're going to test out some of these, it's best to buy those little sample packs for the price point, and for the thing is that you get to test out all of those in that category. And I think Golden even had one.
they do, but we price those out. And
Okay,
it's-
here, let's. Okay.
yeah, I think we're pretty much everybody. Oh, I did want to do look at the
Oh, yeah.
alcohol ink thing because I think that's very interesting.
So we wanted it again to see just how it was going to react with different things, and it's really crazy because the two A's are both alcohol ink markers. They are different brands, and so you can see that it's really interesting how on the, what are they, the Copic Concept? There they are.
No,
Concept.
and Firefly.
Yeah, Concept ones, they're pulling through yellow, yellowy green.
No, the
Yeah, these are the Concept. Those are Firefly.
Yeah,
Firefly
those-
is
yeah.
pulling through like a gold or a almost
brown.
copper. It looks
kind of neat.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
copper with the bit of shiny. But yeah, the USA or the US art supply stuff, which, oh, by the way, that it's made in the People's Republic of China. And then the Golden stuff is,
Which side, Mexico?
no, this one's made in USA. That
Oh,
was
okay.
those were the colored
Oh,
pencils
those
the other
were
day.
pencil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was kind of interesting here. It says U.S. Art Supply, and it's made in the PRC.
Yeah, and I think that that is something that could really mess you up big time if you were using those and thinking that you were going to be able to get coverage over some of your little oopsie doopsies.
Yeah.
Not necessarily so.
And of course, I mean, we had actually expected the performance with all of these the way that they did with the Posca markers, because they're acrylic based.
But the alcohol ink was a new that was
really. And that's something that we use often. I don't know, if you watch some of our other videos, usually when I have done an altered playing card or even touched up a lot of the torn edges, things of that nature, I always use the acrylic markers or some of the other water-based markers. I wasn't really worried about some of that. But you can even see here on, again, the US Art Supply Gel Medium, how it's pulling the color out of the line there. And it's interesting that it's kind of doing it in a similar way to some of these gessos. And even, so this is almost acting like a gesso. How these are. Versus like you have then your Mod Podge here, And everything's pretty well in price. Now, it's kind of, you can see just a little bit of that happening with the matte. And here's my happy place of glossy Mod Podge. Good job.
Okay, now on to the pricing here.
Yes, pricing. Okay. We touched on the Dina Wakley versus like the Stuart Simple stuff earlier, and that price-wise, just it really is pretty crazy that if you go over and purchase directly from Ranger. Now here's the thing. You know, keep in mind that this is, I was purchasing, if I were to purchase just this one item, no free shipping, all that, because that's why I included the shipping on this, because it was just right out of the gate. Now if you go over there and you spend X amount of dollars, you get the free shipping. Well, then, you know, then it starts to be comparable then again to that higher price point, but still pricey. Because even if you were paying, like, here was the, I think we got it through Amazon with free shipping.
Yeah.
You're coming out to $2.25 an ounce. Stuff is pricey. And then you start talking about just buying the little acrylic 1 ounce. Those things are $2.99. Now again, if you're going to some of the bigger craft stores and you get your coupons, then hey, you know, you might be saving quite a bit. I doubt that you're going to get down to to the price of, and so we were kind of saying that this clear gesso stuff was almost more like some of the,
yeah, definitely.
It's kind of interesting. It's this is kind of a weird thing.
It's like a matte Mod Podge if you want to just get
it
right
had added
down.
texture. Yeah, it added texture. And then I don't know what's its sealability or anything like that. I mean, I assume there's some there.
I believe that's one of her points that
Yeah.
she makes on her little. But now here they are here, and it really dulls it out even more than the matte Mod Podge.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't. Now you're getting a little brown out there.
Now this was actually, and this price stuff here is the white, because we just didn't want to order it because it's pricey.
Yeah. Well, she touts it as artist quality primer.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely artist quality price.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Allows any underlayers to show. But allows any underlayers to show. Well, it
yeah, and show through like this.
does not show through true to the color
You-
that was originally there. And, you know, and then that's not true for everything. I mean, some of it,
Well, okay, but let's say this. So if you are doing strictly acrylics,
yeah.
then yes,
No.
that is true. You are going to have no problemo.
At all.
Because-
Posca markers, no problem.
Because this was a matte acrylic based. It's the 2.0 Stuart Simple, very expensive stuff. A Posca marker. And yeah. So if you want to do layers of that, I don't know if you necessarily call that mixed media, because that to me is an acrylic.
Yeah, no, you know, and the other thing that she says on here is great for sealing layers. Clear gesso is ideal for making slippery surfaces more workable. And I haven't tried the colored pencils,
I will say that it roughs it up. You can actually feel it.
so maybe I don't know. I will have to do that. I apologize for not, you know.
Well, here, I've got
Right,
a colored pencil thing here. And
Give me a colored pencil and hand me that old.
Here, I'm going to try one of the new bright ones over it.
No, I don't want yellow. You can't see yellow.
You want purple?
Something, yeah. All right, where am I? Oh, you can. Okay, now that would be a selling point for me. If I can use my colored pencils over it, and I mean, that's a plus. That's a big plus. So
Yeah.
we have the
Crayon.
goes, it will cover that, will cover that. And you can go over this. And I guess you could redo this and get your color back to whatever that you wanted it to be. And I don't know necessarily, where's my glossy Mod Podge? Yeah, see? No worky.
So there you go. Now we found
No,
its
I mean,
purpose.
it does a little bit, but come on.
Not like
no.
this. This created surface for you
Yeah.
to actually work on.
And I'm happy to know that, because that I would want to use that in that on occasion, and it certainly does.
To help, to kind of seal in it. Now, one thing is it dulled it out. You can see how much it dulled that out.
It does. But then again, you can still come over once you're finished with the shinier stuff.
Yeah, and then you're gonna get that pop back, I would assume.
I would assume. Probably need to try that. We did not do that experiment.
Well, we can do that real quick.
Well, here, let me put a little bit more down here while you're
I'm Mod Podging it.
Mod Podge that baby.
Here, put some of this zowie. Ooh.
I mean, you know, really, it's pretty amazing. I mean, it's almost
All right,
like you get
Dinah,
back to the tooth of the paper.
Yeah, we weren't in love with you until we
Yeah.
started how to actually use your product
Yes.
properly. Imagine that. Hey, we're honest. Now we need to make notes on here that we have, then come back over.
I think we can tell Mariah. I mean, it's pretty.
We got it on video too.
We do.
We can watch the replay.
What did we actually do on that? Well, of course we use shiny, because that's Mariah's go-to.
Well, I mean, if you want to see how it's going to pop. And what is also kind of nice here is that we're going to be able to see this happen here pretty quick. Because
Yes.
it does,
It dries quickly.
the surface dries quickly. It does not cure for a long
You
time.
didn't put any on that.
Oh, sorry. I still have a little globber on my hand here. There we go.
Okay.
Oh, and look, see, it was kind of moving that blue around a bit. Because I went a little heavy on it.
Yeah.
We'll say that's something to keep in mind, too, is that we are professional Mod Podge users. We have a very specific
there's-
technique.
Any way to screw it up, we've already done that.
So we'll tell you this. You must be committed to your brush stroke. You cannot dilly-dally.
Especially on this stuff.
Oh, and on printables even.
Yes, they will smear.
It will, because it does kind of lift the color up as it is sealing it, because it like locks it in place. So if you get really heavy and you're kind of trying to work a section, you're gonna have this sort of thing happen where it starts pulling the color out, and that becomes, so you could even see it starting to happen there. But that's why I was very quick and tried to move my brush very quickly and not come back over it until it is sealed.
Definitely a get her done.
Yes, and one light coat,
Rather than
super heavy over here, who, I have actually taught her a few things about the glossy Mod Podge and how to properly.
yada, yada, yada.
You can watch that in other videos. There's me doing two sides in
I'm
one
having
go.
allergies today.
She says this in every video. I don't. It's just,
I had
she
to
was
get
waiting.
It.
She
I
was.
had to get it in.
This is the come into the light, Carol Ann. I say this to her all the time.
Well, there may be people watching that, and they will say, "Oh my goodness, I wonder if she's
Still-
passing on."
She's still having her allergies from the last video.
Yeah.
It's chronic.
Seriously, I don't know. I think I'm allergic to Texas.
It's probably true. Okay, guys. So that's we'll let that dry. That's looking really good, though.
I know it is. I'm gonna hold it while you're talking about.
Back to our price stuff. One thing to keep in mind on the glossy Mod Podge, or was it the glossy or the? Let's see here. So which one did we buy? Okay. Sometimes buying bulk does not equal savings. Now, we did get it on sale, so when we bought our 32 ounce of our glossy Mod Podge, it came out to 42 cents an ounce. Now, regularly it'd be 48 cents, which then you go up here and you see, oh, well, regular price on the 16 ounce, 46 cents. So, just some things, you know, if you really are being cost conscious.
Conscious.
There we go. That was not coming out right.
Yeah, listen to this me with my allergies.
Come into the light, Caroline. Okay. So then you start moving on into these others, and I mean it's more than twice the cost. Even for these lower, I would say lower end, what they call artist grade.
Yeah, I don't know that you.
Yeah,
would
I
call
don't
that
know that
artist
you would.
grade.
This was just what I
Maybe
bought,
if you were a struggling, starving artist.
which a lot of artists are.
Yeah.
But I would say Mod Podge outperformed this stuff. So why, if you're gonna go to that price point, then maybe do check out more of like the Goldens and the Liquitex. We just didn't want to. I just didn't want to spend the money on that.
Well, and I really, honestly, I doubt that there's that much difference between the Golden and the Liquitex. I really think they're,
Those are equal.
yes, in performance.
Yeah, probably. I was trying to kind of keep more towards the Mod Podge end of pricing. So this probably is comparable as far as probably being more craft grade versus artist. But it did have the gel name to it, and it certainly did kind of viscosity wise is true.
And we don't know about longevity as far as this is concerned. But I have projects that I Mod Podged 15, 20 years ago.
And they still look.
And they still, and you know, I used magazines, I used tissue paper. And I mean, you know, that's not even high quality paper.
Archival.
Certainly not archival in any sense of the form. I mean, half of it is from, you know, present wrappings. And it's still, the colors are still vibrant. So, I don't know if that's a factor.
Yeah. And you can see across the board here that, and Apple Barrel is plaid, is Mod Podge's.
It's the stinky one.
The stinky one. It does not smell like vomit. It does have an odor. It is strong. I don't love it. I can always tell when Gigi's using it.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah. So.
I just try to use it when my allergies are really bad.
Oh goodness, I'll have to put that somewhere in the comments too, or in the description, just for giggles. All right, I think we have. I will have this either like on our blog. I think I will even make a blank version available for download. That way, you guys can do your own.
That would be really cool if you would share your results with us, because, you know.
And I'll leave a lot of these blank, so that way, whatever things you have, you can write in.
Yeah.
Your results.
And post them.
I'm gonna keep my PM Artist Studio up there though.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Okay. And I'll just say comparison chart, and I'll leave a line underneath there for
Yes,
people, so that way you can write it in. It doesn't even have to be this stuff, but that would be fun.
I think it would be fun and very informative, and
we have learned a lot.
We've learned a lot, and it was kind of pricey, and we shared the price of purchasing said items, but it would be nice if someone else would, you know, do some different stuff.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Let us know. If you liked this video, comment below. Even more so, subscribe.
Don't forget to hit the bell.
Don't forget to hit the bell. Thanks, guys.
Bye.